What are the basic elements of story?
There are exactly three, and if you don't do them, then you're not a writer.
Obviously.
Now, the basic elements of story, I mean, this is pulling from Sorkin, intention and obstacle. That's the best way to describe it, because it's like you can have concepts. Concepts are simply just these living ideas that are existing on their own. But it's not until somebody wants something and is impeded that we have story. Somebody wants something and has to do it. Conflict, sure. Conflict is a way of characterizing the obstacle. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Conflict is usually characterized by something that's antagonizing deliberately. Mm-hmm. Sometimes an obstacle isn't a deliberate antagonism.
Correct.
But, you know, and believe me, my friends are fucking sick of it. I'm pedantic. I'm ridiculously pedantic. Like I'll argue over like a hair for hours just if it's not exactly the right length or whatever. But,
exactly.
But, you know, I try to keep it in check.
But that's basically the basic elements of it.
I would say, yeah, it's about wanting something and coming in conflict. I think the implications of that are a lot broader, which is, you know, that basically it's through story, it's through these narratives, through watching somebody want something and have to struggle to get it, that we find meaning. And meaning ultimately is about developing a kind of emotional map of priorities that we all develop. And that map of priorities is what we draw. Like, it's how we see the world around us. It's a representation of the model of the world around us. And it's innately emotional. And the narratives and the stories that we tell either build that model up, and we call that resonance, or it deconstructs it. And we call that challenging our biases. And to me, that's the interesting implications of it.
Well, it's interesting. It's something that's clicked in me when you were talking was, you know, an analogy for what we go through in life in general is that we want something, and there's generally something in front of us stopping us. Yeah. Whether it's period. I mean, that is life. Every single day, I want my child to be quiet. I want to get that big deal. I want my boss to stop yelling at me. There's always something. I want peace. I want money. I want love. Whatever that is. But there's always something stopping us. There is some sort of struggle or some sort of obstacle in our way. And only through that obstacle do we grow as a soul, as a human being, as whatever you want to call it. But only through that battle hardening over life is how we move forward. And that's why when we see a film that's so that has no conflict, or the characters just has nothing going on, or the antagonist is just not anywhere as powerful as he or she should be, that's why a weak movie comes about a lot of times. So I feel that's that's why I always use, and my audience is going to get upset because I always say this, but Shawshank Redemption, arguably one of the best movies of all time. And I always come to, I don't know if you do or not, if you don't believe it, if you like that movie or not too. If you don't, you're dead. A great movie. Okay, good. If not, you're dead inside and we can't continue this conversation. But having it as an analogy for life, I always love asking writers, like, what is it about that movie specifically? Because it is arguably ranked as one of the highest. I mean, it's a movie that was made in 1994. It didn't have any big fanfare, but yet for whatever reason over the years, it has kind of grown in this kind of popularity that I've yet to run into someone who does not like the movie. And
I gotta say, it's an extremely well-made movie,
right?
But it's not one of my favorites.
No, and it's not,
and mainly because I hate the thought of spending time in prison.
Well, but that's your own bias that you're dealing with.
Absolutely, it's my own bias, and I'll cop to the bias. Absolutely. Yeah. That said, Darabont is a master storyteller.
Without question.
The guy knows how to tell a story, and that's why I think it's compelling. It's the cast, it's the writing, but especially it's Darabont who brings the entire vision together.
It was pretty remarkable. But I always find that movies that are analogies for our own existence really touch it, and that movie does have that little thing that just like we're all struggling through crap. No. Basically, this is my analogy. Is like, you know what? He goes through hell. It's it's unjust. It's unjust hell because he's innocent. So many of us feel that we're victims in our own.
Didn't he murder him?
Nope. No, he never. No. He was innocent. He never murdered anyone. He had the intention to murder, but he did not. Now the whole movie's changed for you. You're like, what? He didn't.
I mean, literally, the last time I saw it was probably 10 years ago.
Right. So he didn't. So he didn't murder. He was an innocent man. So in many ways, we feel like we're victims of life always beating us down. So there's that analogy there. And then he literally has to tunnel through a mile of crap. And at the end of that, when he escapes and he's out into that water and he's getting cleaned off and everything, he's free. And now he has the freedom to do whatever he wants. And I think that's truly an analogy for life. And I think that's why so many of us feel so much about that movie when you see it, whether it's your favorite movie or not. Does that make any sense?
100%. And different stories resonate with different people for different reasons.
Star Wars and Batman and all these other, kind of films as well.